What's going on? I got my good friend Adam on today. Dude, what's up, dude? I feel like I
What's up,
haven't
bro?
seen you since your event. What do you got going on?
Nothing, man. I've been, I recently, separated from my full-time job to kind of really commit myself to my purpose and, obviously building the business that I have. I was super excited with the turnout of the event and how it played out. So, I do have a couple things in the works that I've been working on um, with just new partners, kind of navigating that space. I am in the process of working on my own podcast as well,
Nice.
which has been exciting.
Cool. Yeah, I imagine the week's been pretty busy for you then with the adjustment and kind of taking your business to the next level. But before we kind of get off two track, I'd love for you to kind of introduce yourself, who you are, who do you help, what your business is about, kind of thing like that.
All right. So my business name's ARV Enterprises. Um, it was something that I had been thinking about for a very long time that I finally pulled the trigger on last October. Over the past, I would say 16 months, essentially I've been going to all these different networking events and meeting a lot of young professionals. And frankly, I felt that a lot of the people who I was meeting was very into the self promotion and that entrepreneurial mindset where, um, granted they were all either at a good level in their respective field, and trying to attract more people for to build their businesses, or they were in a position of where they were going to be doing other networking events and whatnot. For me, when I went to these events, I really wanted to create something unique. Being in the communities that the events were held in Stamford, Greenwich, Westchester, I saw that there's tremendous opportunity to really give back to others by building that network of people who were generating good income. I was, like one of the big questions that I would ask people is like, what are you doing to give back? Um, so, I decided to, that would be my purpose. I felt that my purpose really was rooted in giving back. I do feel very uncomfortable with self promotion where I'm gassing up my own ego and I'm really just talking about myself the whole time. Um, I found it more captivating to talk about how, um, with the success that the people that I met, like how are you giving back to the community? What charities are you contributing to? What is meaningful to you? And I thought that to be unique, So I decided that I wanted to start a consulting business to help not as well known causes kind of create a platform and produce events for them and build awareness around their cause, which more often than not resonates with a large amount of the population, but people just don't know that there are places where they can contribute and they can help people who've gone through similar journeys and struggles as they did. That's really the main component of my business. Then the public speaking that I was getting into over the past, like 10 months, going to Brandon speaker schools with Warm Heart Life. Those were tremendous. I knew that should I enter this nonprofit space, I'm going to have a platform at events to promote the events and really wanted to refine that art of um, saying what I really want to say in the limited amount of time that I would have. So I knew public speaking would be a tremendous component of it, and then the last part would be the podcast. The podcast would serve as a voice to champion those who are either working with a respective nonprofit or have been recipients of grants from that nonprofit or are actively going through the struggle which that nonprofit targets. And that would, and I looked at it kind of as a three-faceted machine where you're giving those in the space a voice, I get to use my voice to amplify my passion behind the cause, and then obviously the work that I do, directly with the nonprofits and helping them build awareness, helping them build marketing platforms, and helping them, host events.
Oh, okay. So you're doing more than just like the event hosting itself. You're also it's more consulting and helping them grow and build awareness too, right?
Absolutely. I mean, the project that we um, for the event that we held last week, I mean, that was with the Willow Grant. A lot of people had never heard of it before. It
Hmm.
was an idea Ashley was very passionate about. And, when we first spoke about it, she didn't really know where to start and how to start. So when we continued our conversation and built upon it, I was like, listen, this is a really special cause. I think this would resonate really well in the community, which is Greenwich, which
Hmm.
they are going to be are residing full time. So I wanted to give her and empower her to say, like, listen, like this is totally doable. This is totally something that would touch a lot of people. And like my job is to kind of um, help build that momentum for her.
Hmm. Yeah. And building momentum is so important because pretty much any industry, that's what gets the like once you get the momentum going, it can change businesses like crazy. So how do you start to build that momentum? Because once it's going. But like, how do you start from the start still, stand still?
Well, I think you need to start by talking about it. You need to start by
Mhm.
not being afraid to have uncomfortable conversations. I mean, infertility is something that um, makes a lot of people uncomfortable. It is a uh, cause that people like to address behind closed doors. It's a very personal issue, and bringing it to the forefront, you will get uncomfortable looks. You will get coyness from your audience. But I've noticed that by talking about it, maybe in that initial conversation, I didn't get the uh, transparency that I wanted from my audience initially. But it sits there, it marinates with them. Once and a week later, they'll give me a call, they'll give me a text. Hey, can we talk? Hey, how can I get involved? So I think by continuing the conversation just really face to face, like a lot of the communication, especially for the last event, I did face to face. I was like, listen, guys, I'm working on this project. I think it's got a great, it's got a great person behind it with a pure heart who really wants other people not to go through the same thing her and her family did. And you, when you come with it with that sincerity, this. I mean, I have no dog in the fight other than being able to change lives and put babies in people's homes. Um, and so when it you people resonate with that. People want to be a part of something bigger than themselves, and I think that's really was the biggest inspiration behind my business as a whole. Just finding something bigger than myself that people could rally around.
Yeah, I totally agree with you too. Past couple of years, I've been getting into more and more different charities and thinking of different ways and that I can contribute and leave a bigger impact and provide more value than just the one-on-one coaching and small group coaching that I've been doing. So I totally believe that, and I feel like it's such a primitive instinct, I guess, maybe instilled in us humans because going back to like old and like Stone Age, basically. Like if you're not part of the tribe, you're probably gonna die. So like contributing and being part of something bigger than yourself and helping others out, it just brings such a great sense of pleasure and joy, and you genuinely feel good helping other people out too. So when I see people who just kind of like charity, like kind of like thinking they're throwing their money away, I think it's totally like no,
Yeah,
no, it's so helpful because the more you give, the better like everything gets. So
yeah, man.
I want to ask you.
I'm
Oh, go ahead.
good. I mean, like, I think also what it comes down to is like having a higher purpose. That was a big reason why I separated from my last job. I loved that job. I loved the people. I loved Um, I did love components of the day to day. I love the atmosphere. For me, though, I think our mutual friend Brandon Latour, he posted a reel yesterday about purpose that Jesse Itzer was sharing, and it was saying that the three components are passion, skill, and value. And once you do that, once you find something that encompasses those three um, components, like that's when you find your passion, and that's where I felt like I have, where my passion is helping other people and pursuing a higher purpose. My skill is my ability to network, my ability to rally people, and the value that that adds is just the difference that you make in other people's lives,
Mm.
and I did feel that like where time is finite, I had to make that decision that, like, listen, do I want to commit myself to something that's going to get me closer to my purpose? And that was the big reason why now it's like, all right, I'm going to hit the ground running. I'm going to ride that momentum and continue to get closer to making changes and positive changes in people's lives.
Yeah, love that. And yeah, I think the Japanese word for what you were saying before is called ikigai. That's where it's like when you find your purpose, your skill, and something else too, right?
Wait, what is
Is
it?
that, am I right with that? I think it's called ikigai.
Ikigai?
Now,
I haven't heard it, but I
okay.
trust you. Yeah,
Well, our buddy John Mendez talks about that sometimes too. So he shares
nice.
that and how powerful that helps him. Um, but yeah, so I know the big event you just had was a week ago from this recording, and I know you got a big thing towards the end of the year coming up. So what are some? So that's a big goal, is to have a successful event at the end of the year. So what are some things that you're doing, and how important is it for having like milestones and certain commitments to? How do you make sure that you're moving yourself forward? I guess with your goal setting.
One of the biggest challenges is really just creating the vision, and then putting it onto a calendar where
Mm.
and that's what I've been doing, just setting the calendar and creating important deadlines. Obviously, there's budget. You set the budget first, and you but what it really comes down to is holding your team accountable. Luckily, I have the support of Ashley and Carlos, obviously. So like their platform is you know helps where they have resources that I don't necessarily have to start from the grassroots. But it's really just about like staying diligent with my day to day. Like, all right, like this is my agenda. Like I have these calls set up. I'm gonna work on the graphics for this. I'm gonna work on the social media campaign between 1 to 3, and just kind of like you do. I mean, I've seen your calendar, man. Like basically time blocking and sticking to that in a very disciplined fashion. I'm a big advocate for like small wins stack up
Yeah.
to the bigger goal. So incorporating that mindset with this larger project is has proven to be the recipe for success. Like obviously there's other people involved. You need to get them on the same page. You need them to, like when like I'm a very impatient person. I don't know if you know this about me. So like sometimes it is a little frustrating when you're waiting on an email, or you're waiting on um, you know a payment to go through, or you're waiting to connect with a donor. Um, like I get it. People have schedules. That's something, but I always have something to fill that time during those periods of time that I have to wait on somebody else.
Okay. So essentially, helping yourself stay busy with a bunch of other tasks that continue to move the needle forward while you're working on the patients for other things to kind of develop. And that comes through with discipline, as you were saying. So, how have you always been a pretty disciplined person, or is that something that you're constantly working on and building towards? And if so, how do people build more discipline?
I have not always been a very disciplined person. I'll be the first person to say that. prior to these last several years, I used to work in the restaurant industry. It's a very relaxed environment, um,
Mm.
based, really from the way the schedules are and the late hours. You're not really given like a structure, so your day to day is often thrown off. The discipline was something I really, been working on diligently over the past, past 2 years. Just kind of incorporating routine. When I left that industry, I was like, all right, I can have a normal schedule. I can have a normal life. Um, and I was able to, like I'm waking up, waking up in normal time is like just like a tremendous, just like for me was super tremendous coming out of the restaurant industry, and like, but I think discipline is built over time, where like you eventually get into a routine. They say a habit is formed after consistently doing it for 30 days. So when I started incorporating that with just little day-to-day things, that in itself compounded to just kind of like a discipline thing where I almost feel uncomfortable when I don't follow my plan.
Mm.
It throws you off for the day. So, that's I think a big component of just like repetition.
Yeah. I know, you've been working with Dom a lot, your personal trainer, and I know that's an easy way to get into the realm of building discipline. So how has like getting into a consistent routine with training, I don't even know what you guys are doing in terms of training, but I know you're consistent with it. I see your watch going off all the time. I get notifications when you're finishing your workouts. So how has your approach with fitness and training helped you with the development and growth of ARV Enterprise?
Well, I think a healthy body and a healthy mind go hand in hand.
Mhm.
Um, when you're physically active and physically disciplined, what it does to you mentally, like, you go to the gym, like you probably just saw, I just got back from the gym, and you know, like there's those days that you don't want to go, but if you think about how you're gonna feel after the workout, which a lot, that's what I do. When I don't want to go to the gym, I think about how I'm going to feel after the workout. And that usually gets me to, slip on my shoes and get in my car and drive over there and get a workout in. Because, even if it's not the best workout, it's better than nothing. And when you leave, you're like, okay, like, I think the connection between your mind and body are tremendous. When I wasn't working out, I wasn't it's just like an accountability thing. It's like your brain telling you, listen, you can do it, you did it, and you just, it reinforces like that inner self talk, that self confidence building. Keeping promises to yourself is an essential component for me. My story where I didn't do that for a very long time, that affected how I felt about myself, that affected my confidence level, and affected the choices I made. So when you continue to keep promises to yourself, even when you don't want to, um, that transfers into every aspect of your life. I'm a big Kobe fan, and that's like the Mamba mentality. Like just stacking wins, man.
Yeah, I was just listening to something just the other day, and they were talking about how self-discipline is the highest form of self-love,
Mm.
because when you stick to the things that you say you're going to do, it builds that trust within yourself. And then when you have trust with yourself, others can trust in you. And when you also take your future self and the things that you say you're going to do and you follow through with those, that's the highest form of self-love, because you're also holding off on your short-term needs and wants and things like that, because you have the bigger picture for yourself in mind. And yeah, I talk about it all the time how I use fitness and physical activity as the first pillar in my coaching program, because that does build that confidence. It gets you going. It starts to stack the small, easy wins. Even when you don't want to get something, even when you don't want to go to the gym, like there are plenty of days I don't want to go to the gym, but I know that I have to because it keeps me in shape. It keeps I'm my biggest
Hmm.
billboard. My body's a reflection of my business because if I can stay disciplined and work on myself, then others will believe and trust that they can count on me to continue to work on them too. Plus, then that huge accountability aspect you just said there. Um, so continue with the accountability there. Other than Dom, who are some other like role models or mentors that hold you accountable, or if you have any, and how do you? What are other forms of accountability that you have to continue working forward to make sure that you are successful with your business and the events and the projects that you're working on?
I think for me, a lot of the accountability comes. I mean, I haven't been shy about the fact that I do live a life of recovery. Um, and one of the biggest proponents of the recovery space is taking things one day at a time and living in the present. And, you know, those days that aren't good, they're behind you, and for me, it's like I can't change yesterday. I can only make the most of what I have right now and today and tomorrow. And what I do today can hopefully yield a better tomorrow, which I also don't have control over. Um, I think like having gone through my own personal struggles, um, and my own journey in the recovery space has, when you sit back and you kind of reflect on it, that entire struggle shows how resilient I already have been. So with that in mind, there really isn't something there. I kind of look at challenges more as not so much challenges, just part of the journey.
Mm,
And it's, and when I do that, I compartmentalize it where I'm like, I break the challenges and I'm accountable to being able to compartmentalize it, work on it bit by bit, and knowing that I don't need to climb the whole mountain at once. I think look at when I look at the entire project, that's when like I get complacent. In regards to like holding myself accountable, it is basic things, man. It's writing things down, keeping a checklist, setting alarms. Um, those things hold me accountable. Those little things where it's like I can't just ignore that. Like it's having that kind of structure is really what holds the accountability for me.
mm. And I know you're a big Google Calendar kind of guy, but what other tools do you use other than like Google Calendar to help you make sure that you're being productive with business and life?
Like digital tools or
Yeah, or it could be anything. Do you have other than Google Calendar, do you have like a daily notebook or something that you keep track of ideas and things, or do you have any other kinds of software or anything like what do you use that
I,
helps keep you productive?
I take handwritten notes. I do take handwritten notes.
You a
I
sticky
use
note kind of person?
not a sticky note person, more like a legal pad note person. Um, I, I use HubSpot for my email, which is great because it logs all my emails. It allows me to really create the messaging and um, kind of block off sects of my address book.
Mm,
That's been key. I think a lot of businesses use that. They use Mailchimp or something like that. Um, those are just basic tools, frankly. The one thing I taught myself, which obviously um, everyone should know, is like kind of dug really into the Excel formulas. That has been pretty. I mean, that's been super instrumental in just like creating. Excel has been like a huge thing for me. I
mm,
used to hate Excel, and now that once you learn it, it's just like such a useful tool.
yeah.
Um, and then like with my fitness, it's I use the Apple Watch and everything in regards to like monitoring my progress there. Plus, like with the Fit 3D periodic Fit 3D scans and whatnot.
Mm, gotcha. Yeah, so a lot of the tools helps to optimize and obviously it makes things a lot easier and simplified. Obviously that's very important as continue to grow both personally and professionally. being organized and optimizing, making things more efficient is how you continue to elevate and grow. Um, so it's cool to hear just how other people, different tools that they're using and things like that too. So share with me a little bit more about what you've got going on towards the end of the year. Because I know it's a big gala kind of thing coming on, but like, if you could you go into a little bit about that?
Sure. So the event last Thursday was essentially an introduction, kind of meet and greet for Ashley for the community. The next tiers of the campaign will entail the launch of the Carlos Rodon Foundation, which will be the host for the gala. That foundation, the Willow Grant, which is their infertility cause, is going to fall under there, with a couple other initiatives that they hold dear. That launch should be in May when they officially announce the Carlos Rodon Foundation. It might be a little sooner. I know that the actual event that they're hosting would be in May. And then in September, once the regular season's over, we're hosting a gala. The gala, the whole purpose of the gala is to raise money to provide grants in Willow's name. Willow is their firstborn. She's beautiful. She's, I believe, 4 or 5 now. She is just, and she's the gift of their struggle. Ashley shared about it in her speech where she had experienced two losses, and both very, one of them on Mother's Day, when she found out she was pregnant and then she would lose the baby in a hotel room in Charlotte. And um, it's crazy because now she's going to be able to provide families who went through what she and Carlos did the platform and the resources for them to be able to afford it. I think that what she's doing is great because, like, infertility is very expensive. Like, there are couples who spend upwards of $50,000 after repeated failures. Um, and that's, when you, with the rising costs of everything, and you got a mortgage and you got student loans, and all you want really is to, you probably just, paid for a wedding. And all you want to do is have a kid, and financially that's another 50 grand, you know. This is really just the tip of the iceberg, and that gala is going to be an opportunity for the community to engage with Ashley, to meet her. Willow will also be there, which is kind of cool. It's going to be cool just seeing Willow, like just like
Yeah,
wandering around. And Carlos is going to be able to really share um, how it affected him, which is beautiful because you more often hear mothers talk about it and you don't hear fathers talk about it, and it's very much a shared struggle. um, and having him kind of be the pioneer on a male side of it is just like super powerful, and seeing him in that space on that evening, um, it's just really going to be a special night of um, just rallying around that cause, building support, providing resources, and at the end of the day, 9 months from that gala, hopefully babies are born as a direct result of it. So I think, like, just like that whole encompassing picture, like that night is just one night, but it's going to mean so much more.
yeah. It's like going back to bigger and better like impact for everybody. Like that's a lot of people's lives being touched with just by helping one family out, one couple out with creating life helps their families, their social circles, and it affects a lot of people. And you said something that actually like sparked awareness in my head the other night when you spoke. You were talking, you were like, you guys might be asking what do I have to do with infertility and things like that, and could you share a little bit about that? Because I think even if it doesn't directly affect you right now, like you know somebody or something, or you can like it's you're still affected by these different issues and things that happen every day.
Yeah, I mean, what I shared was, I am a weird like person to be advocating for infertility. I have no children. I, I'm a 37 unmarried man with no children. I'm here talking about fertility. Um, but it impacts me in my family from a I've had family members who've had repeated miscarriages before they had children. Myself being adopted, finding posthumously what my mom had gone through when she was struggling to have children before she found me and my sister, um, that deeply impacted me. But like the larger picture is that these causes you don't need to you don't need to be directly affected by something to care about it. Like that's the thing. And I think and I think it comes back to like where I started, where it's like so much of this society right now is very like self-absorbed. Um,
Mm.
and just because you're not impacted doesn't mean you can't make a difference. Just because you um haven't personally struggled through it, you know somebody who has. Like I talk about it. Like addiction is obviously another. Addiction and alcoholism is something which is very similar. And I think that's also what resonated with me because the mental component of any hardship, especially personal hardship, is something we all can relate to. And when you think about that, then yeah, then it should matter to you that someone's mental health is in jeopardy because of a struggle that they're having that they feel that they can't speak about, where they feel that they're in such a dark place and they feel that they're alone. And I think everybody can relate to that feeling. So it may not be the cause, but you could definitely relate to the feelings that the struggles um, bring bring up.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's if you think about it, you can find some way or another to connect to a lot of these different causes. And I wanted to ask you, because your business is new and you're kind of growing, is do you only work with people in the fertility or infertility world, or are you is it like a bigger thing? Is ARV Enterprises gonna is bigger with other people involved?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm going to be working with our friend Dylan with the dyslexia. I'm going to be working with my friends in the city who helped me with the In Service Foundation when it came to sobriety coaching. I mean, I'm really focused on partnering with causes that people don't hear about. The American Red Cross doesn't need me. March of
Mhm.
Dimes doesn't need me. It's these other smaller causes that yeah, that like there are 501(c)s everywhere where, yeah, some of them are just like a group of friends who created a 501(c) so they could donate and they know that their money's going to the right place and they also get the write off. Yeah, there's plenty of 501(c)s arranged like that. But there are smaller 501(c)s that that many people don't know about it. And, I want to partner with those ones and give them a platform to, hey, listen, we're here too, um, and we could use resources as well because we want to change the lives of the people who we help as well. And I think that's a very 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 important thing to do, because there are unknown causes that are super powerful.
Oh yeah, and awareness is or attention is like the main thing that these smaller places need, especially if they're looking to grow and build too. This might be a silly question, but can you share what a 501(c) is?
A 501(c) is a registered nonprofit. So
Oh, okay.
it's so funny that you brought that up because before you asked me, one of the things that has been like one of the biggest struggles in this whole process, and I'm going to tell you this right now, man, compliance. We have a compliance whiz. She's great. We got her on board where like there are certain honestly, I really can't explain it because I kind of let her handle it, and she tells me, "Hey, Adam, you can do this. Hey, Adam, you can't do that." That's one of the biggest challenges of getting everything started. But 501(c)(3)s are how charitable foundations are structured from a tax exempt standpoint. And so like like I can me registered as an LLC can't necessarily um, fundraise, but when I'm attached or on a board of a 501(c), I'm able to fundraise. So
Mm,
I'm hired to consult, um, and I think that's really important to get out. I'm hired to consult, not fundraise. When they attach me through via the compliance paperwork, then I'm able to go out and fundraise for these causes, which I am
mm.
for the Carlos Rodon Foundation and the Willow Grant.
Oh, gotcha. Now, so ARV Enterprises, are you solely working with these 501(c)s and like nonprofits, or are you working with other businesses that might just be trying to build attention for whatever that is that they're doing?
As of right now, I really want to stick with the 501(c)s.
Mm,
I think if, like I spoke to a friend who wants to host an event, um, and I said, okay, but let's partner with a charity where a proceed of the tickets can go towards.
mm,
Then I was like, then I'd be open to work with you. But you know, I really want to focus on giving back, and that's the way I'm choosing to operate, like moving forward. Where it's, all right, and I told him I was like, we could also event. It was someone who went to the event on Thursday. He was like, listen, man, that was a great venue. I want to host it, like kind of like a dinner party or something of that nature. I was like, that's perfect. What's important to you? Where would you
mhm.
like what cause would you like to partner with where we can attach a portion of the proceeds to go to? And he was like, yeah, that's a great idea. No one's gonna see, that's the thing. Also, like no one's gonna say it's a bad idea. Like
Right.
that's the thing. It's just that people don't think about it because they're so, I think nowadays people are so focused on enriching themselves.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of like where social media takes you, where it's like, how do I get rich doing this? How do I get rich doing this? People are so focused on enriching themselves when it's like, hey, how about you give 25% to the American Cancer Foundation? Or, like that's nothing. If you're already successful, it's kind of one of those, I'm a big advocate of like once you have your, you know, the airplane model where once you put your face mask on, you help somebody else.
Yeah.
So that's really where I kind of want to stay focused. And
Good. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, you can't pour from an empty glass. So making sure that you kind of helping everybody else out. So
yeah,
exactly.
sorry.
Cool. So I do want to be courteous of your time because I know busy person with you got a lot of projects going on, and I want to make sure that you have I'm on time with you. But before we kind of wrap things up, how do people get in touch with you or stay connected with you, or if they're looking to help with a charity or even or get involved and start something? Where do they go and how do they get that going?
Awesome. Yeah, I would definitely encourage you to go to my website, arventerprisesllc.com. It is going to feature the three different components of my business. That you can have an opportunity to either get on my podcast, and then like obviously the consulting services. We can set up a time to talk. On Instagram, Adam Vohra _. My handle for my business is ARV Enterprises LLC. And yeah, I mean, those would be the best way. I am on Facebook and I am on TikTok as well under the same handles. But Instagram and my website would be the best ways to get to me.
Cool. So if you're on social, just give him a follow. He's got a lot of things going on. You see a lot of great footage and content from the last event, and probably many more great events to come. And he's open. Just shoot him a message. Pretty cool guy for the most part. So
Oh,
uh, sure he'll answer back. But dude, again, thank you so much for taking the time
thank you,
today.
man.
And before I let you go, though, I got to ask you, what would be your number one piece of advice for surviving the side hustle?
My number one piece of advice would be to follow your gut. And if you're going to ask for advice, ask people who've done what you've done before. Because if you go to somebody else, a lot of people will project their own fears. So if you go to someone who's walked the same path, um, gravitate towards those people.
Yeah, powerful stuff, man. I don't understand how so many people seek advice from people who literally don't have the things that they want. So I that's so true. Like follow in the steps of people who've already done it and have what you want. Again,
Exactly.
dude, Adam, man, thank you so much for taking the time. Looking
No
forward to
problem, brother.
connecting with you again soon. And that's all we got today, guys. Peace, peace, peace.
All right.